All right. Hello, folks, and welcome to episode 31, a rare Friday stream. Morning, Mike. How you doing?
Morning. Good, good. Still waking up,
Yep.
even though I've been up since 5 a.m. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, I haven't had enough coffee yet. Have to remedy that situation.
Do you know the cartoonist Too Much Coffee Man?
Rings a bell.
The character is a coffee cup,
Right.
with eyes and mouth. Yeah. I'll have to share it with you later. They started at UC Berkeley. They were a UC Berkeley student,
Oh, okay.
and now syndicated, I think, in some places.
All right. So last time we finished our persistence. We got all the database stuff, did all the flyaway, the schema, the testing, the all that fairly straightforward because we don't really have much in the way of data to save, but it's our main aggregate, the song. So we're now able to find it by theme. And so what have we got next?
I think we were going to look at adding search to the UI on the homepage.
Right, because we have the search endpoint working. We don't have an actual UI page for it. So yeah, so let's
and we
take a look
probably
at that.
should put some data in there as well. In the product, did we put data in the production one or only in?
No, well, we didn't have a production database, so that's something we can also do
tackle.
if we want. I also have the Miro board available for us that we can look at because adding the search page will not take very long, and we'll probably have to figure out what our next big feature is.
Okay, sounds good. Want me to clear the deck?
Yep.
Okay. And actually, you know what? I remember seeing. I was just scanning Jira, and I think we can mark this one as done. It was done a while ago.
Yeah.
That was
had some overlapping issues.
Exactly. So, but yeah, it's nice to see all those
X's.
Out.
Yeah. Yep.
And then custom reducer. Forgot what that was about.
We may not need to do that anymore because I think I don't think we need that anymore. That might be obsolete. Do we still have that partition by? I forget where we had that because there's some code that we've removed, right? So all the stuff around the searching.
I'm not.
So we do that in the parser.
Oh, there it is. Here.
Yeah. I think there's a larger issue, and we will have to decide when we want to sort of take that on, is expanding our results class to be a bit more fluent. There is an open source result for J class that I found that was actually pretty reasonable that we might want to just adopt at some point.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So I would say, and I think we have a Jira for that. Do we have a Jira for adopt or expand result class? Yeah, so that's basically, I think 83 is basically it.
Yeah, not a great word to search on.
Yes, that's true.
I was like, what? Oh yeah, of course.
That's like calling your programming language Go. It's like, yeah, smart move, Mr. Search Engine.
Or C.
Yeah. Well, that was a pre-search engine, so I'll give them that.
Pre-internet, not even pre-web, but pre-internet. So yeah. So that's covered by this one. So that means I can probably obsolete the other one. Or should we?
Yeah, you can say obsoleted by need for obsoleted by using better result class.
Cool. Now we decided to punt on these two for now.
Right.
And so yeah, we are here.
Up to Jira issue 100.
Woohoo.
So what pages do we have in our
Yeah, I know. What do we?
inbound web adapter? We've got the result pages. So
Want to look at resources or
well,
the adapters?
what? So that's just a view class for
Yeah.
the song theme searcher, which at some point I think we need to improve the results page, because right now we only show the song title.
Right.
We
Yeah,
might,
the results pages.
yeah, we probably want to do some work there. Do we have anything that responds to the root page, or is that just the static coming soon?
Yeah.
It's in the homepage controller, which is at the top level.
Why am I
So,
not seeing it? Oh,
because you're thinking top as in it's the top of the list, but top
Yeah.
level meaning it's just above resources there on the left.
Got it.
So those three classes, homepage controller, the config, and startup, those are in the base package. So those are top level.
Oh, I see. Right. And they do it after the packages.
And yeah, I've always thought that was wrong. It's like those should be up top because those are in the song themes package.
Right.
But the way they order things is,
If you collapse it, you really can. You can
yeah,
sort of tell,
yeah.
but it also kind of looks like it's part of domain, even though. I mean, as a quick glance, right? Even
Yeah, there may be some ways to reorder stuff, but that's sort of the default way. So I try not to move away from defaults too much.
Yeah.
So where do we want to put the search page? Do we want to put that as the home page, or do we want to have the home page be something else?
Well, it depends. I mean, if we put it on the home page, then it's totally publicly available.
Right.
I feel like we're not ready for that yet.
Okay.
So maybe we do put it at a hidden or a URL that.
Well, we'll put it under URL that we can protect. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what is the endpoint that we use to submit the search? So that's going to be actually in the adapter. And that'll be under, yeah, song theme searcher. So that so we could I mean, this is sort of a UI layout question. We could have a search bar at the top of the search results page. So when you first come in, you get the search bar and there are no results. Then you enter your search and you see the results, but you still have the search bar available.
Right, to further refine or whatever.
Yeah, or do another search or refine, yeah.
I think that's the way to go.
Okay. Then this will be our endpoint, so we've already got that. And what we'll want to do is we currently redirect to two different pages depending on if there are results or not. And so we can use a timely fragment for the search part. So let's take a look at the either one of those. The no results is probably simpler.
Yeah.
So here there's basically nothing.
Right. Though it does show the text temp if nothing's found.
Right.
Which I did a little test a few minutes ago.
Which we probably don't want.
Yeah, looks like this.
Yeah. I think we should just have a try your search again or something. And you can delete the th text. It's not going to be dynamic.
Oh, that's not where the songs will go?
Well, this is the no results page.
Oh, this is the no result page. Duh.
So
okay.
I'm not sure when or why we added that temp, but we don't
So we
need
could
it.
just get rid of this.
Yeah.
Entirely, and then just put something like something like that.
Sure. Let's see, is there anything else we want? Okay, so then we can either use a time leaf fragment that then makes it easy to reuse the search portion of the page
into both pages.
Yeah. Although
but what
it's
would be the
literally
initial page? The initial one, would it be one of these two?
That's a good question. It would
Maybe we
probably
do
be
have to have a base.
a third one, which is just the first time here kind of thing.
Right.
Another option is yeah, I don't know another option. I mean, another option is we could repurpose this page to so it starts out saying no songs found, search for a different theme above. That might be a little confusing then.
Right.
I probably think I think we should treat it like, like if you go to any search engine, the first thing you see is just, what do you want to search for? Whether it's Google or whatever, it's like, here's the search box.
Right.
And that's the entry point. And then when you search, then the search box is at the top. I think we should go with what people know. Copy, copy ideas, reuse ideas when they're common. Hey there, Jonas. Welcome.
Welcome.
So let's do that. So let's create a dedicated search page where if there's
file.
I think you can I would just copy the current file because it's going to be very similar.
That's true.
You'll want to do F5.
Oops. Ah, nice. So we call this one theme search.
Sure.
The endpoint name, is that going to be?
Well, the endpoint is theme search, but the page doesn't have to be. It can be whatever we want.
Right. Maybe we'll call it search themes just to make it different.
Well, I wouldn't make it different. Just I would actually call it theme search home, maybe.
Ah. Because then they sort together.
Yeah. And the title will just be whatever you want. And our H1 will be, and so now let's create what our search form will be.
Okay.
So what do you want the heading to say above the search box?
I think we should start off with just one theme at first.
Okay.
Do a one then many kind of approach.
Mm-hmm. All right, and so we'll need a form.
Okay.
So you'll want to get rid of the P. We don't need that.
Yeah, I'll deal with that in a second.
And so we'll need basically two pieces of information for the form. So what the endpoint is. So inside the form tag.
Oh.
So the method is going to be get. So we'll do method. Yep, get. And then action is going to be the endpoint. And this will want, just to be sure, so put an octothorpe here, or a hash symbol. Octothorpe is the technical. Yes, that's the technical
for pound.
name.
I call it pound. Octothorpe. That's
octothorpe is a technical term.
Wow.
And then we'll do a th : action. After that,
octothorpe. Okay, and then after that, a th. Did you say service action or action?
Just action.
Okay.
And here we're going to use the syntax for referencing a URL, which is the @ symbol and then open close curly braces. And then inside there, what is the endpoint? It's slash.
Where was it? Controller, right? No.
No. Yeah.
There it
so
is.
theme search. So grab that. Stick that in there. All right. And then inside the form, we're going to need an input. And the type is going to be text. And technically, we don't need this to be we don't need this to be a th field. So we'll just say should we do a th field? So what's the parameter name that the searcher is expecting?
Requested theme.
Requested theme. Okay. So let's grab that.
Grabbed.
And let's assign that to name. And I think that's it. So we can preview that to see how it looks.
IntelliJ?
Yep. Yep, so that's it. We could make it larger, but I think that's probably fine.
Yeah. For now.
Yeah.
Deal with styling another time.
That's it. That should work. So we just need something to serve up this page. So we want this page to be served up if we get. So if we go back to the searcher, what we want to do is the behavior we want is if the requested theme is empty or null, then we want to show that page. So what should we do next?
So would this be sort of a, this is before we even get to this stuff. So it'd be something along the lines of this. So there it is empty or is blank or is null?
Well, you'd probably want to check for null first, but we're right. But this is implementation detail, so we need to write our test first before we do this.
Right. Oops. Do we have...
So the behavior we want is on theme search, that if we give it an empty string, we expect to get back the home view name.
Home view name, correct. And we do have a test class.
Yeah.
Which I will move to the bottom. Don't need this anymore.
Hey there, 5G technician. Yeah, so exactly. We actually want to handle the situation where it doesn't exist, because that would be the first time hitting the page, and we want to show the initial search screen. So yep. We don't want to redirect. We just want to return a specific view. So I would say this is probably like something very close to that first test, but much easier, in fact.
Yeah.
Because we won't have to create a we won't have to create anything.
Right. So empty search. Like empty search navigates to search home.
Sure.
So we just need that. And where'd our search theme? There we go. At this point, I think don't care.
Well, I
this
think
is interesting. We're creating a song. Oh, this is the controller.
Yeah, we need to create the controller,
but with no songs.
Yeah, so I believe I mean, we can just...
This was back when we were injecting songs in through the tests.
Well, here we don't care. So
right.
We don't need to inject any songs. So we can just create the song themes controller directly.
Oh, right. Without even having to use that. Actually, would...
So we want to do song. We need to create a song service like we do in 57. But I think we can just do that and then just directly pass that into the searcher.
Yeah, forget about it.
So if you want, you could just inline that and delete the... Yeah, be careful you're deleting things.
I know I deleted the wrong place. That's why.
And you also changed it. So revert line 30.
30. Oh. That's what happens when we do this on a Friday.
So why don't you inline 20? Inline the call to create song themes controller.
Oh, this one. Okay.
Yeah. And then just get rid of 21.
Yeah.
And I'd probably inline the concurrent model into the parameter, because we don't care about that either.
Yeah. Do we even care that this is a... We inline this one as well? Or I think that's too chatty.
No, I'd do that too. Yeah. And then we want probably a space before 21, because that's the action that we're doing.
Right.
And now we can assert on that.
Whoa.
Yes, full line auto completion.
Whoa. I want to do that
close.
Again.
It's close. Yeah. So 5G technician asks, do we think it's worth it to test the rendered HTML? In this case, no, because it is literally returning an HTML page that has like 10 lines of HTML. At some point, when we have more complex HTML, we might want to do that. But this is one of those where the return on investment of setting it up so we can use something like HTML unit or Playwright vastly exceeds the return, because we can easily examine this manually, and it's not very complicated. All right, so
no slash.
I'm going to be pedantic and ask you to swap the test to the top and the implementation to the bottom, because you got the test class at the bottom, and
test class.
You have song theme searcher test in the bottom pane, and I'd like it to be in the top pane.
Oh, I've got them. Oh, I did get them backwards.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, bottom's production code. Right.
Yeah.
Thank
you. So what's our prediction?
This should fail.
And how should it fail?
Yet.
So what are we going to get instead?
Yeah, let's see if we will get the theme search result. Theme search, no results, because it's empty. We're passing in no song. That's what I think.
Okay. I think that will either happen, or I don't think we'll get an error or anything. So I think I agree.
Think to the whole IO free, or
yeah, IO free. IO free.
Yeah.
All right, no results. Excellent. Okay. As predicted. All right. Let's fix it.
Now this one we're checking, the test is looking for empty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine.
Is that what it suggested?
Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, yes, technically that's what we want, but
you'd rather do the
I'd rather do the is.
I always forget the difference between is empty and blank.
I do too. So what you can do is hit Control Q.
Q, yeah.
So basically, if it has white space, that's considered blank. So if it has basically non-meaningful characters, so I think blank is actually more appropriate. But our test is only testing for empty.
Right. So we'll start off with, and then we'll crank up the test.
Yep.
Okay. That should pass.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, it does.
When you say we'll see, I'm like, oh, you see something I don't.
No, I mean
that one really was a we'll see.
No, that was like, yeah, we'll see.
So now, should we crank up this test or have a separate test for? So this one actually is empty. We have another test called blank search. Navigates to search home. I guess we could start parameterizing the test if you wanted to do that.
I would say let's parameterize the test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you replace that, don't you?
I always forget.
That was my memory. Looks like.
Yeah. And for this one, we probably want to do. I always forget. In 5.11 that's coming out soon, there's a field source that would make this a bit easier. But think I think we should just use the CSV source, which is probably what we use elsewhere.
Well, here we had value source
Oh, right. We're not
passing in
we're always
CSV.
comparing against the same thing in terms of the assertion. So value source is what we want.
Yeah.
I was thinking CSV source because we wanted in and out to test against, but actually the out is always the same.
Right.
So that's perfect. Yeah.
And do we need the parens?
Not if there are no parameters, we don't need the params.
Okay. And so then this would be blank. Second one, sorry, first one's empty. Second one's blank. And then third one would be null. Well, let's just crank it up one at a time.
Well, so 5G technician asks, can Spring ever give us null? I don't believe it ever does. I believe it will always give you an object. That object may be empty, but I don't believe it will ever bind something that is null.
Does it throw an exception for Spring, or does it just
Well, since we
convert it
said
to a blank string?
since by default this request param is not required, you can actually say required equals true, and then I don't know what it does. But since we don't say that, if it doesn't find it, I believe it will give you an empty string. We can try it if you want to do that before we finish writing the test. We can go ahead and run the application and see what happens if we hit that endpoint without anything. So let's do that. Let's see. Because I was looking at the Spring docs and it didn't say anything.
Whoop. Oh, Docker.
Your Docker daemon is not running.
No.
Should add that to your checklist.
It's an excellent idea, which I will do right now before I forget. Streaming checklist. Fire up Docker. Okay, so now we rerun this, should be successful. Okay, and then we're going to navigate to
theme-search.
With no parameters.
With no parameters.
So like with the question or without?
No, without the question mark. Oh, it's automatically required. Oh, then we want optional equals false. So there we go. That's what happens. It basically fails to bind it. So let's add in. Well, I'm glad we did this.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, I thought required was optional was the default. So inside of request param, put a comma, and we're going to say something. I don't know. Ask autocomplete. See if it suggests anything.
Where's the control space?
Yeah. So we want required. Oh, we want required equals false. And if we do that, then we can say the default is empty string. But let's try it with just this. I don't know what the default would be. Is it going to give us null, or is it going to give us an empty string? So let's try it now.
Okay, so we're going to restart the
yeah.
server, the local server. Okay, redo this. Interesting.
All right, so I guess it does return null. Well, color me wrong. This is why I don't rely on for this kind of stuff where I just don't do it very often. It's good not to rely on memory.
Wow.
So in this case, we never want null, so we can basically say default value equals empty string, and then we don't have to deal with the null case. So let's try it now.
Okay. Okay. Hey.
All right.
Cool.
So I guess Spring MVC's viewpoint on this is if you specify a request param that is optional, then I guess it can be null to indicate that it wasn't there at all. I think for what are called model values, where you're binding it to an object, right, a DTO, as opposed to a direct primitive, the object itself, I think, will be created, but its contents will be null. But we don't need to worry about that. So okay, so that's what we want. And this is a case where if we could have written a Spring MVC test to test what happens if you don't pass in a parameter. But we verified it manually, and then we're okay. So yeah, so we don't need null. We just need to have a space in it.
Will we change this name to requested theme?
Yes.
So now it's parameterized to do empty and something with a blank. Now this will fail because we only coded for empty.
Correct.
And I should stop the server because we're not using it anymore. Go back to IO free.
Yep.
And run those. And it failed as we expected. Well, I didn't actually say what was the what the string was expected, so I didn't fully predict.
That's right.
Yeah.
The only downside is the display value for the value source is kind of not terribly helpful. So if you noticed when it was running, we knew that's how it failed, but it's not obvious from the execution. Like looking at this without going to the test, there's no way to tell why what exactly failed. Because on the left side we see requested theme equals, but since it's a space, we don't see the space.
Is there any techniques for fixing that? Fixing it from the perspective of making it more useful visually?
I think with you can use the @display name. So how do we do this? Yeah, so sorry, not in the assert. Well, we could do that. But I think we can also in the annotation on the test itself, we can add an @display name. And then oh no, actually it's a parameter to parameterize test. So never mind about the display name. So for parameterized test annotation.
Oh, here?
Yeah. If you hit Control Q,
Got to get the cursor on the attribute name.
Actually, no, what I want you to do is get the potential parameters. Which is Control P.
I did that.
Yeah. So what we want is name. And then we're going to assign that. So in quotes, so this is basically the parameter becomes the curly 0 curly. And so we can put that in double quotes.
Like that?
Yeah, so that'll give us the value, but that's by itself is not very useful. So let's surround it by double quotes.
We need to do.
And you'll need to escape it.
Escape it. I was just wondering about that. Like that.
And we probably want to say something more because otherwise we'll just have a display name that is not very useful.
Requested theme.
Yeah.
Is.
Yep. So let's run that. Yes, much better.
Where is it? Where are you seeing it?
In the test names on the left.
Oh, on the left. I'm looking over on the right-hand side.
Yeah, because what we've done is we've overridden the default name that gets generated for parameterized tests.
That's cool. That's a cool technique.
All right, so we've improved our test failure output, so it's easier to understand. And now let's make it pass.
Oh, was it null?
We don't need
no?
we're not handling null. We're just handling blank.
Right. We already handled that. Yeah. So it would be this.
Well, blank is a superset of empty.
Oh, so if you just.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, because blank checks for empty and.
Basically, you can think about blank as doing a trim, remove white space before it does is empty.
Interesting that for the passing test, it's not displaying the parameters.
That's a different test.
Oh. Right, we're running song theme searcher.
So if we want to do the same thing display name wise, we can go and copy that to that test. So that one is clear as well.
Yeah, let's do that.
So you're not in the right test.
I know. I'm getting this one. We were here. So we just need this part.
No,
this part.
Right.
And then the other one was song test, I believe.
Yeah.
Parameterized. That was this one. So we change it to that. And the parameter in this case is not requested theme. It is attribute.
Yeah, because we're using attribute for sort of all three.
Right.
All three optional pieces.
So now if we
or all three
rerun it,
required pieces, yeah.
right. So maybe we should change it to from attribute to required attribute. Interesting. What did I miss? Song
Because
test.
that's a different. You've modified not the test.
The wrong test.
I mean, that's good. We should probably do that in general, but that's not the test you're seeing.
Yeah.
So I find.
Oh, there's.
You want to that. You
so
want
there, it did work. It fixed
yeah.
it for that one.
Yeah.
Should we rename while we're here attribute to required attribute? Or this should not be empty nor blank.
Well,
Or the
the
required
test
doesn't really
is
matter.
the test is testing that there are missing song attributes. I think it's fine.
Okay. And let me see if my buffer's got it. Yep. Now this one, the song title should not be empty or blank. And it would be artist.
Well, that's not what the test method says.
Song title. Oops. My brain today. Song title should not be empty nor blank. Okay, let's run that one. That's this one. Okay, so that one's working. So the remaining one is the artist should not be.
Yeah, by the way, you can hit F4 to jump from the test
Here.
Yeah, so if you hit F4, it jumps right to that test.
It's funny, when it's a failing test, you can double click on the name.
Well, you can't double click on a parameterized test because it opens and closes the.
At this level, but I would think you could double click at this point here.
No, because if you double click there, what happens?
Nothing. Doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it opens and closes the tree node.
Right.
That's why I don't double click, because F4 will always work.
F4. I want to write that one down. Excellent point. Jump to test from test run window. Sweet. Okay, so this one F4.
It's funny that keystroke is the one that's noted for Windows Linux. Mac, there's a separate keystroke, but actually F4 on the Mac still works.
Really?
Yeah, so it's command down on the Mac, but also F4 works as well on both platforms. So I just use F4.
And is that a platform thing or is it IntelliJ specific?
No, it's IntelliJ specific.
Got it. Yeah, now all of these have that nice.
Right. Yep. Great.
Annotation. Cool.
All right.
Probably time to commit.
Yes.
Navigate to new theme search homepage when, I guess we would call it requested theme is blank, is empty, or blank. Plus improved test output for some parameterized tests. Okay, shipping it.
All right. Cool. So let's try it. Our test pass.
Okay, I'm going to close some of these windows. Kind of getting out of hand here. Yes, let's run the whole puppy. Where's that window? That's this one. So we'll just refresh.
Yep.
And then we could do how do you do a blank or a space?
Well, I don't know why you're doing that. Just type a space in the input field.
Oh, that's true.
So basically, it came back to this page.
Right.
So note that it put a plus there because a plus is the URL encoded version of a space.
Of a space. That's what I was noticing.
So if you put two spaces in, what happens?
I'm a predict plus plus.
Yeah. Yep.
You can tell I used to be a C++ programmer.
So I don't know about you, but it feels like we're missing a button. Like, yes,
Yeah.
enter worked because it does a submit on the form when you hit enter.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice. I think it might be comforting to people to have an actual search button.
I agree.
So the type would be submit. And then you can close the element. And now, what do you want the button to say?
Yes, enter. What is?
I would just say search.
Oh, it's even better than enter. Yeah. Interesting. Where did it put the button?
Can you close it and re-preview it? That's weird. There it is.
Ah, there it is. There's like a hiccup of some sort.
You have to explicitly save the file for it to update the preview.
That's what it was. Cool. Should we commit that just to, or just move on to the next task?
Is there anything else we want to do to improve the UI of this page? I mean, we could put a little placeholder inside the text box. We could make the text box bigger, but I think it's probably fine for now.
Yeah. And you say placeholder like sort of like a grayed out text?
Yeah.
Like saying put your search term here.
Yep. But I think that's probably pretty obvious.
Yeah. What do the Googles do? Do they No, they just have a little magnifying glass icon to the left.
Yeah, I don't think we need that.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, then let's commit it.
Okay. Commit.
So let's how about we add some songs and then see if our search works.
Great. So we would have to go to, what is it, bulk?
Song import.
Yeah. I was going to ask for my kind login. Let me go take care of that.
Oh, and we probably want to protect, you said we want to protect our search page. So
yeah,
we probably need to go into our config for that.
Okay, I'm back to song importer.
So this is going to go into your local database. So put some real stuff in there.
Okay, let's see. Is this a legit? Let me just grab the song theme database. Oh, I know what the problem is. I forgot to grab the header column.
So hold on a second. Can we look at this output
here?
Yeah. So can you scroll down? How do we like this?
Not so helpful.
I thought we had better output than this.
I don't recall us working on failure output if the header row is missing. I mean, as far as the UI perspective.
Well, maybe we didn't. So you forgot the header row.
Yeah. So we really should just have one message that says header row missing.
Yes. I think that would be a good idea.
So let's go down that path before we import. Let's add a Jira. Okay. Oh, there we are.
I think we can close 100 now, though.
Well, we added the search page. We haven't tested that it works yet. Have we? We just said that it works from a sense of giving it a blank or a space.
Well, I'm personally confident that it works, but
Okay.
if you want to actually do a real import and try it out, I'm fine with that.
Okay. 1 second, I got an incoming call that might be
okay.
one important one I'm waiting for.
So as a side note, note that we discovered something by using the application that we didn't realize before. You will never know everything that you need to know upfront. And this is why when you're doing projects to learn, you want to make them something that you're going to use sort of for real, because that will guide you to using it for real and wanting the behavior to be different. So here's a case where we didn't think about that scenario, where we forget, we check for it and we make sure we don't import stuff that doesn't have header columns. But we didn't really establish what we wanted if the header row is missing. And so this is a case where if you're just writing stuff, following a tutorial, or maybe creating an application that you don't really care about, you're not going to really use it. And then you're not going to encounter these kinds of situations that will then say, oh, I now need to do this. Because this is what happens in real life. This is what happens in real software development. You discover things by creating functionality. You create functionality, you discover things that it doesn't do, or interactions with existing or other functionality that is something that you may or may not want. And so this is why I always encourage folks when they're learning to work on projects that will be used, whether it's just by you personally or by someone close to you, where you'll get feedback. Because if you don't get that feedback, you'll never encounter these things, and you'll just sort of, this is where tutorials sort of guide you along this perfect path. But that's not software development. Software development is you trip over things, you bump into things, you find that this other way is better, and that's software development. And that's what makes software development so difficult. Hey, Suiji. And yes, absolutely. Real software development is not just learning like how to code, it's learning what is needed. It's learning about options. It's learning about things that you thought would work well that turned out not to work well, or vice versa. Something that you thought, that may not, that may be a simple way to deal with this, but oh, look, it's good enough. And so really software development done well is all about learning. Learning about the thing you're building, and these are things that, and discover, and I almost like the term discover in some ways, because you discover things that you could not have known about before. Yeah, I think most software developers enjoy learning. Sometimes that learning is like, oh, crap, this doesn't do at all what I thought. Well, now I know. Like, for example, the request param by default is not optional, and if you make it optional, it is null. I will probably forget that again for next time because I just don't do that very often. But yeah, not all the learning is positive, but yeah, not so. This was a debate we were having in our book club around like not all developers are interested in learning. They're just interested in doing. And that's fine. There are going to be folks like that. And there's, you're not going to change them. But they're going to fall behind and they're going to potentially cause some issues. Which is why when I'm interviewing, one of the things I'm really looking for are people who are curious, who want to learn, but not necessarily learning to the exclusion of doing. Right, so there's a balance there. Yeah, and that's fine. There's always going to sort of be a need for people who get stuff done. They may not be interested in learning the latest and greatest, or but I think there's a difference between learning about new techniques in coding and learning about the product that you're building. I think it's actually very important. Most software developers, I think, are mostly seem to be interested in the coding aspect. This is why we have an infinite number of JavaScript frameworks, and less so in the domain of the product that they're building. And I think that to be the most effective software developer, right? Because remember, our job is not to write code. Our job is to solve problems. And we don't get to define the problem usually. The problem is handed to us. Sometimes the solution is handed to us, which isn't great either. But our job is to solve the problem. It might be with code, but it might also be with not code. It might be suggesting we can use the existing thing in a different way. Since this is around the time that we take a break anyway, and while Mike is busy on an important thing, we're going to take our coffee break now. And so we'll see you shortly. So one of the nice things about sort of taking a break, having a set time to take a break, I think it's really important, because I know that I have a tendency, especially when I stream, to just go on for like hours and hours. And I think it's really important to take breaks. Give your brain a break, give your body a break. I know sitting for a while, it's like it's comfortable when I'm sitting, and then I stand up and I go like, "Oh, ouch! Oh, ow! I need to stretch." Um, so take breaks, folks. Take them at least once an hour, if not twice an hour.
One
We're s-
other, sorry, keep going.
um, yeah, take breaks.
Another benefit beside just giving your body a second to chill. Almost every time I take a break, I didn't this time because I was on the phone. But almost every time I take a break, I think of something that I hadn't thought of. Either if I'm problem solving a new approach, or like, wait a second, we're in the weeds. Maybe we should step back and do blah blah blah.
Yep.
Um, and so it actually is. Don't feel like you're slacking or not working, right? um,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
it
And that's
is
why,
work.
yeah, and
It's
that's
the
why I
kind of
say,
work.
give your brain a break. Give your brain a break from actively working. It'll often, yeah, invariably you come back from a break and it's like, oh yeah, we should do this instead, or oh, this is the way we should do it, or oh, like Mike says, like we've been doing this for a while. How about we back up and try something else? And it's very much sort of the nature is like you keep sort of pressing and pressing, and sometimes you just gotta let go for a bit, and then something better pops up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My watch reminds me only every hour. Um, but when I'm doing usually if I'm doing work and I'm not streaming, I've got my Pomodoro timers. So every 25 minutes, I'm taking a break. Yes, if so many problems are definitely solved, in the shower or when you're doing something that is not requiring you to do much thinking and sort of let your mind wander. Yeah. Another advantage of working from home is you can take a shower for lunch. And it's like, oh, this I've come up with a solution that will save us time or fix this problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Or a walk around the block, or
Yeah.
so many things.
Yeah.
Okay, we went
All
ahead of
right.
something and I had to peel off. Where were we?
We
Uh,
were you were not satisfied with you were not convinced that the search page works. So let's do an actual import, a working import,
yeah.
and then try it out.
Okay, let me grab that page. This time with the header row. Oh, nope,
That doesn't look right either.
nope, it didn't
So, but
grab.
import it. See what happens.
Okay, we'll do. Let me just finish this copy. That one should give you
Should give
ah,
us, yeah, missing.
missing.
So this time it's
Sorry,
not missing the header row, but it is missing required columns.
columns. Yeah,
And that's why I thought we had fixed that it would only do that
once.
once, but clearly we've missed something.
So here in theory, this should be a clean import. Nope. What did I miss this time?
You missed the header row.
Header row again.
Really
Wait.
pushing and testing the validation, aren't you?
Yep. And come on. Huh.
Now you're missing artist.
That's the problem when the spreadsheet is wider than what can fit on monitor 2. This one should work.
Yeah, that's what you said the last two times.
I know.
All right, so where it redirects to is probably not where we want it to redirect to.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's likely the import worked. So let's add another note. Redirect import.
Redirect. Okay.
Be a bit more explicit because fix doesn't tell us what.
Yeah.
We can say redirect to import currently goes to /, but we probably want it to show import success or something. So something like, 25 songs imported. Cool. All right. Now let's try out the search.
I think death is in that list. So, and Don't Fear the Reaper. I think it's two different.
So do we want to fix the view page to show more than just titles? Do we want to fix that now?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things we got to fix now. It's, but yeah, let's get the artist in there because this, you might think it's a duplicate, but it's not.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's go back to the view.
But I think we can check off that the search page to UI, the search page does work. So I think we can actually check that off. Let's get credit where credit's due.
Yep. And display artist. I guess artist and, well, we haven't, no, we could do release title. Release type and notes we'll have to wait for. Scoping out.
Well, whatever the required columns are, we can certainly display those.
Right. Well, required is what? Artist, song title, and theme. At least one theme. So to add it to be required, it would just be artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, do we want to show the themes as well?
Oh, you mean other themes for that song? If there's multiple themes? Or are you saying show the theme that we just searched?
Show basically all of the themes for that song, whether it's just the one
Gotcha.
or all of them.
So display artist.
That's a product question.
Song title. I know, I'm thinking out loud. I mean, artist, song title. I would say I would like to show release title, even if it's blank.
Okay.
And then what do we think about adding themes? Yeah, it could be interesting, right? To see, oh, what other themes is it connected to? Yeah. Cool. It is decided.
All right. So which one of these do we want to do first?
I think let's do the artist theme one because it's
the
current one in our
that sounds good.
Memory buffer. And then we'll decide which of these other two to do next at that point.
All right. So let's go to the class responsible. There you go.
Song view test or the song?
Well, the song view is the thing responsible, so going to the test is the next step. So there are two parts to this, and this is where it goes back to, do we want to test the HTML? Because we can, right now, if we add stuff to song view, it doesn't mean it's going to get displayed because our time leaf template, if we look at that, doesn't, I don't think, show anything other than release whatever title.
Song title. Yeah. Now, testing UI I always feel is more brittle. Doesn't mean
So
not to do it.
yeah, so the sort of again the way I look at it is how easy, you know, how easy is it to verify manually that we've got the right thing? And I think this is
Right now, it's pretty easy.
pretty easy. But I do even if I'm not going to write a test, even if I'm going to test this manually, I still want to start here because I want to make sure I don't forget about it. So I start here, sort of at the outside edge of the system. This is the most outside edge of the system because it's the HTML.
Oh, interesting. So you wouldn't start from the song view test. You would
No,
start here.
no. And there are two reasons. One is to make sure I don't forget, but also two, often this will then help us define what we want our view model to look like. Here it's pretty straightforward, but what's the capitalization of release title and those kinds of things. Since we define it here, then we know what it'll be when we write the test. And I think this is an important aspect, is it's very easy to jump into the sort of test at the view model. But if you then do that and then go back to your template and you realize, oh, actually it needs to be a different name or a different structure, then you have to go back. So this is very much outside in.
What is strong view? Oh, it's a record. I see.
Yes, and so that made it easy for us to to do, and so we can. So let's change our layout.
So we would do.
Well, I think we probably want to go to a table layout. I don't think we want to stick with the paragraph.
I'm not a fan of table views, frankly.
Oh, okay. Well, then you tell me what you want it to look like.
Yeah, I mean, they're fine because in spreadsheets, but I find them hard to read. I actually kind of prefer things to look kind of like this.
All right, you're the boss.
So in which case, if we go back to has results, so this would be for each one, it's a new paragraph, basically.
So if you want basically one big concatenated string, then what I would say, and this goes against what probably most people would do. What most people would do is create is do the concatenation here in the template. And I'm going to say no. To me, the template's job is pretty much display what it's handed and don't manipulate it in any way.
Yeah, make the template as dumb as possible.
and really super dumb. And this has been something that has shifted for me over the past year, and very much influenced by REST and HTMX and things like that. Is I want my templates to be the most dumbest thing, and in fact, so dumb that it would be easy to actually replace the template with a simpler technology. But I haven't found one that's any better. There are some like JTE, but then they don't result in what are called natural templates, right? So one of the nice things about Timeleaf is we could preview this template because it's just HTML. JTE adds a bunch of stuff, just like JSP did, that is not HTML and therefore can't be previewed. But I'd actually like a slimmed down Timeleaf, which does what Timeleaf does for things like iteration, but doesn't allow you to do things like concatenation or if blocks or things like that, because I think those are very dangerous, because it leads that it's a very slippery slope down to putting logic in your I mean, there's GUI logic, but like, can we get away with even that? So
I'm going to throw a monkey wrench into that approach. One, I agree with that approach, but it gets interesting is what if I want that to be bold, that italics, and that regular font?
Mm-hmm. And that's a good question, because we would then have to decide who's responsible for that.
Right.
In that case, since that really is a formatting visual display, then that is something I'd put in the template, and so then I'd keep them separate.
Okay.
So if that's at all possible, in terms of likelihood, then let's put them as separate, and then create spans to for each segment.
Got it.
So we'll still be inside of a paragraph, but we'll use spans for each, in a sense.
Element.
Yeah, for each element. Yep.
Yeah, each chunk, whatever term you want to use.
So let's do that.
Okay. So if we're going to drive it from the test side, so then this will be because we're going to have spans within each.
Right.
So then it would be, actually, how do you do with this?
So what I tend to do is do the HTML first, forgetting about templatizing.
Gotcha.
So no, what you have is good, right?
Okay.
You want a span. What do you want inside that span?
The artist.
Okay, so put artist.
And then do we do the space hyphen space independent of the span? I guess it would have to be.
Yes, it would have to be outside the span.
Yeah. So it'd be something like that. Though it's going to take, yeah.
Well, white space will always get eliminated.
Right.
So white space will be collapsed.
So I'll have to do an
HTML.
NB. I have to do this.
No, it'll put white space, but it won't collapse it completely, but it'll collapse extra white space.
Extra, okay.
NBSP is basically I want a no break space,
Right.
but I don't think that's going to matter here.
Yeah. Okay. So we got that, and then I'm just gonna and will it put a space if I do this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then this would be something like that.
All right. And then let's get rid of the other stuff that's no longer used. So let's preview that. Does that look like what you want?
Yeah, it's a good start.
Okay. And so now what we can do is we can now start putting in TH texts. So you can get rid of the one from the P because we're going to put it somewhere else.
So I could do this
careful
here.
Careful.
Oop. Oh, I see what I did. I wonder if I Control W grabs.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Nice. And then would this go in the span?
Mm-hmm. And then basically the same thing for all of them. It's just going to be a different property or method, technically.
Yeah. So then this would be artist.
And so this is where what we put here drives what we're going to do, how we're going to modify our song view class record.
Now this part, are we going to have to do another TH each?
We could, or we could assume that the view class is going to do that.
That's cool because that one we don't need
I would probably say let the
view do it.
song view class figure out how to display those themes.
Yeah, I agree. So then this would be
Yep.
If that's the case, then that means I do. Or would we? Yeah, we'll let the square brackets be done by the view as well.
Yes. Right.
Okay. Cool. Let's preview it, I guess.
Did you want? By the way, did you want to bold one of these? Did you want to change formatting for any of these?
Yeah, I definitely want to bold the first one, italic second, everything else normal.
So then let's do that.
Okay. Would we want to do the CSS approach or just do inline within the span?
I tend to use classes, CSS. I mean, I tend to use Tailwind, but we can do it. We can do a style. So we wouldn't do a class because you don't have any classes defined.
Right.
Unless you want to do that. Unless you want to. I mean, how do you want to do it? We could do an inline style here, or we could create a CSS section at the top.
I guess let's start with inline style now, and then as
Okay.
it starts to grow, we'll start
So let's do a style.
refactoring to CSS.
Yeah, let's do a style in here. And what did you want artist to be?
Bold. What is the?
It's font weight.
Font weight. That's it. Wow, there's a lot.
Yeah, that's why I usually type -W and let it do it. And we want bold.
Oh, interesting.
So did you want this?
Italics.
What did you want? Oh, that's not a weight.
Oh, right. Yep. Font. Emphasis?
No, I think it's
No.
font style.
Ah, there you go. Yep. Cool. And then everything else just default
Okay.
for now.
You can preview that and see if it looks like what you want.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
All right. So now we know what we need. And we know the method, literally the components of the record that we need. So now we can test drive it.
So let's go back to test view. So now we're going to have to change this so that it takes more than 2 parameters.
Yes.
Is that, well, I guess we'll see where it is. Yeah, so that's.
So you got the one that takes the full set on line 19.
Below. Oh, there already is one. Okay.
But that also includes release type. So that might have too many.
Well, we could ignore this one, right?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. It only goes up to theme 2.
This would be about the time. Now, we could say, well, now we're going to have another variant. So that means we should go to a test data builder. On the other hand, songs are really trivial to instantiate. And so the fact that we're using a song factory, it doesn't, the only thing it really helps with is we don't have to create a list of themes. So I probably would say just instantiate the song directly.
Oh, and not use the factory at all.
Well, so if we want to use the factory, I probably would convert it to a test data builder. I might be willing to abide by creating one more variant. But we've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're going to create a fifth.
The fifth would be with all the themes.
Well, the one you're proposing is that we don't have release type, so that's the 5th. But if we want multiple themes, then that's even another variant.
Well, I was gonna say ignoring, like on the view side, we could just ignore the release type. Oh, but you still have to specify it. I see what you're saying.
Could I mean,
Yeah.
so there's what we could do and there's what we should do. And right, I mean,
Yeah.
just because we've got another variant doesn't mean we yet have to go to test data builder. And so if we feel like that's really more work than the return on investment, then we can just make another variant. It's not like it's hard.
I guess we could do a variant that would be.
So we can do the variant of exactly what do we want for this test.
So it would be basically. I'm going to copy this, but know that I'm going to be hacking. So it would be, instead of a single theme, list of themes, no release type.
So why a list of themes?
To deal with multiple themes.
But what are we going to use in our test?
Oh, you're saying build theme 1, theme 2, 3, 4?
I don't know. What were you thinking of? I don't know what your test needs, so I don't know what
Oh,
we
I
should be
see.
doing here. So
Yeah, yeah.
you're going, inside out, as it were.
Got it.
You and
I mean, I do.
and I tend to go outside in because I don't want to build something that is not what I'm going to need. If
Right.
you want a variable number of arguments for themes, we can accept variable arguments for themes and then convert that to a list. So if you're going to want one or more themes but no release type, then that's what I would do.
Okay, so a var args, so a version of
Right. So a version of
19
19.
removing release type and then making it var args at the end.
Right.
Theme 1 and then possibly more.
Right.
Okay. Is that still inside out?
It is, but at least we're stating what we believe we need. The danger is that what we believe we need is once we actually write it, we actually our belief was wrong.
Wrong. So how about we just do
So
it from the test side?
yeah. So if we do it from the test side, instantiate the song directly with what we want, then we can refactor out to what we need.
Right. So this will be a new test anyway, right? Well, actually, no, it's the same. Convert found songs to song view.
I think since we are literally changing what song view is,
Yeah,
this test is going to need to change.
right. So, and it's doing multiple songs. So I would. I'm thinking inline this.
Mm-hmm.
Inline.
So it inlined one because that one calls the other one. So you're gonna have to inline again.
So I gotta do it again.
Yeah.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which is we're instantiating the song directly.
Yeah.
Which, as we've seen, is not hard.
Right. Yeah. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so let me grab some stuff from my database. Stuff that definitely has. And then we would just keep a relevant release type. Or would we not?
I would sure, yeah.
Because we're doing the new song here,
Mm-hmm.
not a factory
Right.
method.
Mhm.
And then this one has 3. Just gonna pop it in the comment here for a second, make it easier to deal with. Okay, so that's one. We get something totally different that has a release title. Sure, this will work. Actually, this one's even better. Oh no, I'm not gonna use that one. The Revillos with their jaunty tune, Jack the Ripper. And it really is a jaunty tune. It's very funny. It's kind of like this, kind of almost of a pop, bubbly kind of song. And this one's just Halloween. And then we'll have to. So this is the setup is now correct, manually done, but setup is correct.
All right.
Now the assert is a whole nother ball of wax. Actually, we'll ignore that one, which of course the constructor can't handle. And then we talked about doing var args here.
No, this is the song view. So this is what we want it to produce. So that's correct. And then we want the themes formatted as you with a square bracket.
Oh, as a string. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you want a closing double quote?
Yeah. That's what it was.
All right.
Now this constructor doesn't exist, or now we want to change the signature in this case because we want it to be real, not.
Yeah. So what I do in this situation is because I'm always nervous of like how many other things am I going to affect by this change?
You create a new one?
In this case, what I do is I might create a new constructor, but I might just be curious, like, so how many usages of song view are there?
Three in production code.
Well, no, the first one is not using the constructor. The
that's
second one
using
is
the constructor. Right.
Yeah, the second one is not using the constructor. The third one is using the constructor because that's the from method itself.
Right.
So that one's not. That one isn't. That one's the test we're currently working on.
Currently working on this one.
And that's the test we're currently working on. So so I'd probably be comfortable in changing the constructor and not create a new one. Because the only thing, so we're in a sense we're protected by the fact that all the usages outside of SongView are going through the from static method. So we change the constructor, and then we can just change that one from method, and everything else is good.
Got it. And what's the difference between the first and second selection.
So does it add the
Okay.
ones before or after? So you can see sort of in the first option in the drop down, the last 3 strings are bold, and that's where it's going to add the new parameters. So the existing one is the first one, and then it adds them at the end. The second option is let's add the new parameters at the beginning, and the old one stays at the end. So we want the first one.
Interesting.
And you
I
can sort
actually
of
don't
see
want
it.
either,
You
but
can actually see it in the preview. So you can see right now it's previewing the title is still first, and then the other ones. And if you select the second option, now it says our new options and then titles at the end.
well, I don't like either, frankly.
It's yeah. So if it doesn't matter, pick one, and then we're gonna have to rename and reorder things anyway.
Anyway, okay. I'll just pick
But
this one because I know that. Sorry, you were going to say what?
so it means though that we might want to move the title to the beginning before we do this refactoring, so that at least that parameter is correct.
Not title, artist would be it. I would like the artist to be first.
Right now, you want artist to be first, but right now title is the only one that's available.
Oh.
So in line 20, swap the first 2 parameters
Before we do it. I see what you're saying.
Right. So now when you do the refactoring, at least one of them will be correct. So that one will be correct.
That was the only one. Okay, so take that.
And now you can go ahead and start renaming them.
I don't want a default variable.
Well, you do.
I do.
We're going to replace it anyway, but at least it means that we won't lose compilation.
Got it. Okay. So now that's artist, title. This is release title. And this one is themes. And then I want to move this one. So you said I can do the move up and down the signature order at this point, and it'll take it? Or should I change signature after we do the refactor?
And also you should not check use any var because we're specifying the variable to use.
So get rid of that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I could do this reorder now to do that?
Yes.
Okay. Fingers crossed.
And we suspected that map would be broken, or at least I did. What's nice is that it said this is going to be a problem, and it basically fixed it anyway.
Oh, what did it do to fix it?
It converted it from a method reference to a lambda.
So I should put in the second set of parameters, or the second view, or second song view. So now that is the desired. Oh, wait a second. Interesting. It's got reversed. Artist, title, these titles.
Yeah, I think because we did the reorder at the same time, I was worried that it wouldn't do it right.
Yeah. I was wondering whether we should do one, then reorder.
Yeah.
But the song view is correct. Artist, title, release title, themes. So I guess we should look at the usages to see if anywhere else. That's correct. That's the from.
That's the one we got to fix.
Yeah.
But our test should now fail.
Yeah. Let me get it back to IO free. Should fail gloriously though.
Well, there's only one test that's testing it, and so it should fail because one of them is incorrect and the other one was correct. So the first one was completely correct, which is what I expected, because the hard-coded stuff got moved over into the from method.
Right.
And then the second one, the title is correct because that's the only variable that it's looking at and everything else is wrong.
Because of the map?
Because the map is using hard-coded strings.
Got it.
So if we replace the hard-coded strings with the variables, that should get our test to pass.
So in other words, convert. Actually, I'm not sure how to do this.
So we're gonna have to change our. We're gonna have to drop the map to song title because we're not just pulling out song titles anymore.
Oh, right.
So we just want to drop that altogether.
Oh, this whole line?
Mm-hmm. And now what we're mapping is song to song view. So change title to song.
The title 1 to song?
Uh-huh. And then change song view to pull the elements out of song.
Is that just giving them names like this? Or is it more this?
No, it's so given a song object, how do we get the artist out of it?
Got it.
Given
Like
the song object, how do we get the title? Given the song object, how do we get the release title and so on? That last one's going to be tricky.
Yeah.
But not terribly so. We can just use string joiner.
And let me. And is there sort of a?
No, there's not going to be a. I mean, we could do a collect the joining, but we should just use the string joiner.
Okay.
So if we wrap, I don't know if we can do that in one. Can we do that in one line? Let's try it. So before song themes, say new string joiner. And then the parameters that we want to pass in are not the themes. So don't pass that in as the parameter. Let's hold off on adding the parameters just yet. On string joiner, what methods are available? So it is add. Okay, so we can't use string joiner in the way that I wanted.
Is that because of the square brackets on the outside?
No, it's because there's no one method on string joiner that takes multiple objects. So let's switch over to do a stream and a collect. So on the song themes, we'll do a stream and a map.
Should we start doing this on its own?
Actually, we don't even need to do a map. After stream, then we do collect and joining. What are the parameters to joining? Okay, great. So we get the delimiter. Our delimiter is what?
Comma
Comma space.
Comma space.
and then the prefix is
Square.
whatever. Yep, open square, and then the suffix.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, kind of method you'd want for exactly this situation.
Yeah. Should we move this to a new line? It's getting to be pretty.
Well, you can move it to a new line
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not the middle of the.
And if I were going to do that, I might move each parameter on its own line. Good evening, Astrid. Welcome.
Hey, Astrid.
All right. Do we think this will pass the test?
Maybe. I think so. It feels like a big step, but let's let it rip.
I think so too.
Yeah, we go back to.
If not, the test will tell us where we went wrong.
Exactly. Nope, passed.
All right. So let's run the app and see what results we get.
All right.
So the song's already there. So now we just need to search.
And I added, yeah. So if we do this,
so just redo that search. Boom. So I'm not familiar with Beautiful Souths. Is that a cover of the same song?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that cover.
That's part of the reason I put it in, because I know you knew Blois to Cult.
Yeah.
So.
All right. There you go. Done.
Cool.
Ship it. Let's put let's commit, and then we probably want to update our security to protect this endpoint.
Yeah.
Cooking will always win out over watching a stream. Absolutely. 100% agree, Astrid.
Yeah. Plus we formatted the, yes. So actually song view and.
Well, I would just, I would just say that the results page shows.
Yeah.
The fact that we use song view to do that is an implementation detail.
Yeah, results page. Now also displays.
Yes, flatmate is one word just like roommate, which has 2 M's in it, which always annoys me.
There's a great band called the Flatmates.
Really?
Yeah. Sort of a all women power pop from.
Oh, interesting.
I think they're from Edinburgh. They're pretty sure Northern England somewhere. One word, the Flatmates.
Yes, yes. Part of the mid-1980s British indie pop boom.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, what's my now you get me one.
Oh, they disbanded in '89 before releasing a proper studio album. All right, I will
really. So all this stuff is like they're all. Like
all these stuff are apparently just singles.
Yeah.
I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, let's see which. Of course, gotta say band.
Yes.
I guess I was wrong. They weren't all women. 2 women vocalists. Yeah, Shimmer is great. Shimmer's really good. And Heaven Knows, another one that rings a bell. Are they on Bandcamp, so it's easy to listen to?
Apparently there's some YouTubes.
Yeah, there's some YouTubes for sure. Oh, Bandcamp.
And they're on Bandcamp? Cool.
Well, this might be... Nope, someone else.
That's someone else.
Georgia.
Yeah. That's a different band.
Yeah.
I hate it's It's too bad you can't copyright the name of a band. That would make life so much easier. But I guess that would.
Nope. This is
must
what
be hard.
is this? What is? Now this one's saying it's Bristol. Okay, we're going on a rabbit hole.
Yes. But we're allowed to do that on this stream because this is all about song themes.
Cool. Jira.
Check or X.
Actually, we're close to break time again.
And we are close to break time.
Let's decide what to do next first.
Oh, we wanted to protect
right.
the search. So let's go to our config.
Is that in kind? Or
No. That's in our web config, web security config.
What are we calling again? Protect what page?
Protect search page. So that's a top level class. And you know where top level classes are now? They're not at the top. They are at the bottom. They are top level classes, but they are at the bottom. That's the one. So we're currently saying that theme searches permit all, and we're saying, or you're saying right now you don't want that. So you can basically move that to song import if you want that to be authenticated.
But the only way anyone could get there is to know that it's /theme-search.
True. Security by security is not reliable. Since on this stream we've announced it. So
right. No, I know. But I mean, it's not like import where people can change the data.
This is true.
I'm less concerned about that one.
That was my thinking, but you're the boss. So
yeah, no, I was thinking more just not put it on the home page. Right, the home page.
Right. I mean, there's no link to the homepage. The homepage, the homepage
right,
says coming soon.
Coming soon. And that's it. So, I'm fine with the obscurity approach. I think
so only a select few, those who are paying attention to this stream, will know how to do a search.
Yeah. And
of course, it's not pushed to production with a database, so it doesn't work anyway. But that's another step.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing bad you can do by having it. It's more just
there's
production ready.
It's not there's only a GET request, so there's nothing anybody could do.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think we need to do that.
Yeah.
One less
so we're okay with that, Astrid.
Yeah. So we got single error message when bulk import is missing, and then redirect after import.
Right.
I think the error message we should tackle next. What do you think?
I think so too. So should we take our break and then tackle that?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
Cool.
So we'll see you after a coffee break.
Coffee.
All right, and we're back. What's funny about that video, and I chose the segments on purpose, is that's I make my coffee using the pour over method, which I just literally did during our coffee break. Made some more coffee.
If I got more coffee, I'd be in big trouble.
Yeah,
I love it, but
I like the
man. What did I miss? Anything?
So even if you don't publish the Heron's law, yes. Well, there's not much API here, and again, even if you know, I mean, if you tell people it's fine, right now it's not going to work anyway because we haven't set up a database in production anyway. So, but absolutely, if you don't want people to see it, secure it.
Yeah.
Don't security by obscurity is not very effective.
Yeah.
And
If I was this is a startup or something, if this is a startup or something, definitely.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Admin. There actually is I think it's a law that's a bill that's being discussed about. There's some regulation or some bill that's being discussed about not letting. I think it's more than just routers, not allowing them to have a default password, because that's been a vector for lots and lots of security problems. I just can't imagine the customer support mechanisms for that. You get a router and it has basically a random password, and then people are going to forget it or not understand how to use it. But maybe that'll force the vendors to focus on making security actually easier instead of just horrible, which is how most of them are. It's just terrible. But anyway, so we said we were going to handle Jira 102.
Yes.
So let's
go figure out what's going on with that, because we thought we had
solved
that, right? So that was on the bulk import. I have to remember where that was coming from. Song importer? Import songs. Failure message is additive, or it looks like it there.
Yeah, so we're returning it once. Even if we're returning it once per song, I thought we would only return one. We may not be what's the word? Merging the failure results as much as we'd like.
Right.
All right, Jonas, lurk away. Have a good rest of your day, evening.
Cool.
So I mean, what I typically do in these scenarios is look at our tests. What are our tests doing?
Right. Oh, yeah, no, tests.
Tests at the top, because tests drive the code. Tests drive the code.
Gotten kind of polluted up here. Nope, not that.
Hey there, Imazrin, or is it Imazrin? You'll have to let me know. Is it a long I or a short I? Is it an Imazrin or is it an Imazrin? But hello either way.
Or I'm a Sidren.
I don't know. Usernames are hard. So it's probably so what failure modes do we have here?
Song import adds failure messages for failed import.
Well, that one let's look at that one.
Yeah.
So what are we actually getting?
This is a very long, complicated test.
Well, if it's long and complicated, we should probably fix that.
Yeah. That's checking the original text area. Got it. Okay. And then we're just checking that there's 2 failure messages. We're not checking the content of them. So here it looks like it's saying it's 1 per song.
Do we have the situation that we encountered, which was no header row at all?
Right. Let's see if we have another test for no header row.
I don't think we did, because I don't think at this level if we had very much.
Song inputs. Do you think it might be lower level? I guess we could.
Well, the thing is this is the level that we care about, because this is what we're observing, because this is what the controller, the searcher UI directly accesses. But I noticed that you said that this was hard to read, and I don't disagree. So we might want to first focus on making this easier to work with. Hey, Grossum, thanks for the drive-by. Have a happy Friday yourself, in case you already drove by. So what makes this hard to read?
Well, it's testing 2 areas, or 3 actually, and it's just a lot of lines. Do we need? Well, this name 2 malformed songs is not so helpful. I was like, if we could hide that, does that help us much? I'm thinking no.
So let me say what sort of stands out for me as being hard to read. I don't think the setup is hard to read. The redirect attributes maybe a little bit, but not much. I actually didn't look at the variable name too hard. I just saw it was that, and that's what's passed into the handle song import.
Right.
And so I think that's actually okay the way it is. I think that part that you've highlighted, especially where we have to grab the flash attributes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of noise that I would probably want to push aside. I also kind of feel like, in like 64, it would kind of be nicer to have a higher level assert, basically assert that redirects to. Might make it a little easier to read, but I think the main culprits for me are line 66 and line 69. Those are hard to read because of the way we get information out, and since they have some commonalities,
could be 1 helper method.
Yeah, although I think we're going to need 2 because they're different types.
Yeah.
So let's do that. Let's fix our expression of what we want. The other option is we completely wrap the assertion and the obtaining of the contents of the flash attributes into a single method.
Would you make it a custom assert or just a method that?
For now, I would just make it a method in this class. Later on, if we find that we're using a similar thing frequently, we might want a specialized asserter for flash attributes.
So one option is make that into a method, and then have that method just be called on 67 instead of failure messages.
That's one option.
And then the other option is convert 66 to 68 into a method.
Right.
Like with the name something like assert number of failure messages.
Yeah, that might be taking too far, because I think we're also actually going to want to look at the content. So I'd probably start with just pulling out that part into a method.
Yeah, that was my original inclination. Okay.
All right, Suiji, have a good lurk.
Yeah, take care. Extract failure messages or
Yeah,
just
that's
failure
good.
messages?
No, I think extract is good.
Okay. And then we would want to inline that. And for this one, what's different? Oh, I see. It's covered. Extract original songs.
Well, I think it should be whatever the variable name is, right? Because we don't care that it's under the name TSV songs. We care that it's referring to the original text area content, because that's what we're saying is that not only does it redirect and we have failures, but also the content of the text area is the same.
Right, and the advantage of that is when we inline it, that variable name will go away, and then we're screwed.
Exactly.
Not screwed, but we've lost that.
We've lost that information. Yes.
Yeah. So now when we do inline, it's still human readable.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a lot better.
And now I'm wondering if we want to extract.
As a different verb, you mean?
I think reading it now, extract is
assert that. Yeah.
So now I think we can take out the word extract, because now I think it's more meaningful to
when you read it. It says
when we read it. Yeah.
Assert
so
the
now,
original.
Yeah.
Oops. What did it not like there?
That's fine.
Did it take? What was that pop-up?
I don't know. You disappeared it.
Yeah.
Let's see if it happens if you do it to the other one.
So F6. Enter.
Oh, it's wanting to rename the test method.
The test method? You mean the private?
You're gonna have to expand the dialogue, because I can't see the whole thing. This is like a consistent problem with IntelliJ. It's like the dialogues are never wide enough. I don't understand. Like,
everybody has 13-inch monitors.
It should scale to like be,
I know, I'm
80% of the width.
Yeah.
I don't understand what it's saying, because we're renaming the method.
And it's not a test method, it's a private.
I think IntelliJ is confused.
So just hit ignore. Or OK.
Well, you're gonna have to click OK, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it's confused. Because it did the right thing.
Name. Yeah, the right thing is here and here.
But I think it sees it. I don't understand it. I think it's just confused. All right. So I think this reads much better now, because we've gotten rid of some of the noise. So assert that failure messages has size of 2. Assert that original text area content is equal to. Yeah, I think that's much better.
Okay, cool.
Let's make sure it still passes.
What?
I know, crazy
talk. The test takes so long to run, Ted.
I know.
Oh, they're done.
Yeah. I barely had time to sip my coffee.
Yeah, I know. That's why we want long tests. You need more time.
That's right. That's right.
Well, let's commit this. Improved. Asserts. Okay. Now, the original reason we're here was not to fix that test, or not to make the test easier to read, but to modify it to deal with header rows. What are the other tests again? I just want to quickly see. Handles null text. Imports song. Put song in repository. Okay. So you think just modifying this one, or should we have a new one saying something like,
I feel like
make sure a header row is there?
I feel like we should have another test that's dedicated to just what failure messages we want.
Right. Above or below? Do you have a preference?
My thinking was below, but it's not a strong preference.
I don't have it either. If I did, I would have asked you. I just would have done it. Okay, what do we want to call this?
So what would we, how many failure messages would we like?
One per row, right? Well, even no, that's too much. If the header is missing, so to me there's multiple things. If the header is missing, one message and done.
All right, so let's put some comments so we can have all the cases.
Yeah.
So one is missing, completely missing header row, one failure message. So what were the other scenarios? The other scenarios, we were missing required column, like artist.
One failure message per row. Is that what we want? Because it could just be for that one row. And say for that row, we're missing required column X and Y. Because it could be the other rows are fine. So it would import everything but the problematic rows.
I don't think we're going to be able to tell the difference between the first one and the second one. So I think the result is the same.
Oh.
Because what tells us that we're missing a header row is that it's missing all required column names versus one required column name. And I think that might be hard to detect. And I think it sort of doesn't matter.
I think we're looking at I still think it's two different things though, because if you have the required headers, but if that cell is missing an entry in a required column for that row.
Yeah, I guess I need an example for what you mean by missing required column.
Okay. So assume the header is correct. So this one checks the header. The second one, assuming header row correct. I'm not assuming. If header row is correct, then so there might be something like, well, you know, the required, let's just say it's artist, title, what was it? Theme one? Yeah.
Yep.
So if we got something like blank or empty,
you can just say foo and bar. I'll understand.
Foo. Bar, or actually empty, then that row would fail.
Correct. Okay, agreed. And why I was asking for an example is you said missing required columns. That's not a missing column. That's a missing cell.
Cell, yes.
Yeah. That's why I want an example, because I didn't think we were talking about the same thing.
Right, we missed. Yeah, that's a good.
But then there is maybe 1B, which is missing, you know, having like title and theme, but no artist column. So literally missing an entire column that is required.
I think a required gets its own number.
I think they're the same thing. I think 1 and 2 are the same thing.
Really? Missing required? Yeah. Oh, because then the required header row.
I mean,
having a header row doesn't. It's about, does it have the required?
Yeah, because what defines a header row? It's not like it looks any different from any other row. It just happens to have special words in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you're saying 1B, but it's not really a separate test.
I think so. But you're the boss, so you might want different messages.
Oh, I see.
I think if we try it, I think we already handle number 2 pretty well. I mean, let's actually try it. Let's go through the UI and say what happens if we have an empty cell. What error message do we get?
Okay. I think it's still running. Let me go grab it.
I don't think it's still running. Is it?
The stop button's here.
Oh, okay. I guess it is still running.
So, okay, so I'm gonna have to.
Astrid's saying you've got 1B and you don't have 1A. What's going on?
I think that qualifies as pedant of the day award. As someone who's pedantic.
Mm-hmm.
This is a hard one. I guess the way I would do it is this. Oh, yeah, let me do this. Okay, so here's a single row.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing 2, right? To prove that 2 works. So
yeah, I would actually minimize the header columns.
Meaning have less of them?
Just only to have the required ones, just so we can be clear about what we're testing.
Okay. So let me do 1, 2. This is why
is release title required? I thought release title was not required.
No, it's not. You're right.
Okay.
So so the tabs.
Right. So artist to song title. Let's so let's drop song title, but let's make sure the other one. So you should have 1 tab there.
Yeah.
And then cats should be the theme.
So 1 tab.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now let's remove green eyes.
And a tab.
No, leave the tab.
Oh, leave the tab.
Because we want the column to exist but be empty.
But be empty, right?
The cell to be, yeah.
Yeah. Give it a roll.
Yep.
Attributes are blank song title.
So that's the right error message. We're just not returning it as a failure. That's
interesting. So somewhere in our code.
So we're so it looks like we
found a bug.
Yeah, so we found a bug that we need to that we're not handling situation 2. I mean we are at the bottommost level.
Right, but not
we are protecting song against being invalid, but we don't seem to I thought we did that
too.
But I guess we didn't. All right. Well, TDD does not guarantee you have no bugs. It just guarantees what you think you want, what you intended to have, you have. But we clearly didn't have that.
It said it was in TSV song parser.
So if we look at parse song, and then we look at extract column. Oh, well, we're not checking for empty. We actually aren't handling that situation. Because we're saying that if the header column's there, which it is, then we grab it, and we never check to see, is that cell empty? So we grab the cell, it's there, and then we return success with an empty cell, which is not good. So we're not doing that validation. Okay, well, that's a missing scenario.
Yeah, let's see if we got a test for extract column, or do we test? I guess we could test tight end.
Well, so typically what I would do is the same way I would implement this functionality. So we see that it's not there. I would basically start outside in, start at the song importer, write a failing test, and then we'll end up having to implement it at this level. But hey, at least it's good that, you know, we protected the integrity of our song object.
Right. Okay. So
were there other scenarios that we need to, since we're writing down our scenarios, and we might want to transfer these back to Jira?
I thought we already checked to make sure that there was at least one theme. So this covers. We have to do one for artist, one for title, one for theme, or is extract column? That was just actually one.
I would say we can treat artist, title, and theme one, basically, since they're all required. I think we can treat them the same from the test point of view.
Right.
Because basically, is the columns there? We actually probably want to test. Yeah, no, it's only the required. Because we're allowed to return an empty string for an optional.
Right. But where do we check that it's required? Index of.
We never check. We don't check here if it's required. All we're saying is that there is a column with this name. Give me the cell contents. We check for the required columns when we analyze the header.
So we don't get to optional if it even contains that column. That logic's kind of weird to me.
If you asked for release title and that column's not there, that's not an error.
Right.
So that's why we have that logic there.
So what is the definition of is optional column?
Is it not a required column?
But do we ever check whether something is a required column? You say we do it somewhere else?
Yeah, so we do that up front because we check the header row.
Up front, where?
When we create the column mapper.
We create a column mapper. Okay. Right, here it is. Volumes. Yep. Validate columns match.
No, that's
different.
That's different. No, when we create the column mapper. Yeah, right there.
Here's the required columns.
Yeah.
So we define them.
Right. So we define the required columns. If we end up getting to the point where we parse something, right? So if we extract a column, if a request comes into extract column for, let's say, artist, it's not a header column, so we don't find it in 21. It's not an optional column, so we don't go into 25, 26, we end up at 28 missing required column. Which is why I thought we handled this differently, but this is why we're getting all those missing required columns when we drop the entire header row. Because we're actually not validating that the header row has the minimum required columns in the first place. So we're not validating the header row at all.
Right. That's what I was
Not
kind of
directly.
getting at.
Yeah.
Because
I thought we were
time
doing that at when we created the column mapper. I think we may have, maybe in my head, planned to do that, but we didn't.
right. I mean, this was the hint to me. It's like is optional column, but there's nothing else using required columns other than that is optional. So
Right.
we're never making sure that the 3 required columns have
Right.
it.
And that's why we're in this situation.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why my brain's spinning with that. Might be because we've been going for a while. Hmm. So a test at this level.
Yeah. So we should do a test where we don't pass in a header row at all. And we expect, and we desire a single failure message. Then another example where we have some columns for a header row, but not all but we're missing a required one. And so that's 1B.
Okay. So 3 tests.
Yeah, I think
I'm gonna add the A for Astrid.
well, what I think we should do is move this to Jira,
Yeah.
and start writing 1A, and that's probably as far as we want to get today.
Yeah.
Because it's really 1A and 1B are under that Jira 102.
Yeah.
And I think 2 is a separate Jira.
Yeah. Does that work? Nope.
Well, let's turn them into checkboxes. Yeah. And I think for our example, we probably want a few different variations of that.
Yeah.
I was just going to specify them because they're basically 2. So you can duplicate 107, but put a theme for the second one, or the first one. You could put bar.
All right. I was gonna do one that
All right.
sounds theme-like.
So what we want is, even though 2 technically has 2 missing cells, we would like to combine that into one error message.
2 meaning this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a little harder, and so we'll have to decide whether
Yeah.
that's worth it.
Right.
I think
The odds of it.
I think the
happening.
bigger problem is the tremendous number of error messages, which is 3 per row of import.
All because we left out the header row.
Yeah, because we should
Right.
pretty much, we shouldn't even be processing anything else, and that's why I thought we did this, because this makes no sense to do any further processing. But I guess we didn't.
Yeah.
Can we look at the TSV song parser and the parse all? Yeah, okay. I guess we didn't.
So would we check it at this level? We would say after this, we'd be like, hey, is the first row a legit header row?
Well, pretty much line 22 is where we want to do the check. And column mapper is
Ah,
responsible for that.
right.
So
Yeah, we define them, but we don't actually check for them.
yeah, we define them and then we actually parse the column headers,
But we don't
but then
go,
we don't
hey,
do anything. We don't do any validation.
right. Yeah.
And so the question is that we'll have to answer.
The constructor.
Yeah, we don't want the constructor to blow up.
Yeah. So do we have it populate and then we have like a validate method?
No, that's terrible.
I know, but I'm trying to figure out how to deal with the
So I mean,
error approach.
so this is where I moved to factory
Oh,
methods.
factory.
Because the nice thing about, and this is this is why I think like constructors are really problematic if you want to do validation, because other than exception, there's no way to signal that it's wrong.
Right.
Um,
Well, there's no way, but the other ways are ugly. Right.
Yeah, I mean,
one
you
way
could
is having like an error object, right? The old school.
Well, I mean,
like when you query the object and go, do you have an error?
Yeah, and then
it's horrible.
That's not great, because now you have an object that's basically in an invalid state.
Right.
And you have to know to check validate first.
Exactly.
And yeah.
Yeah, I think factory is the only way to go. I agree.
And it's fine, because what like factories are used for creating sort of complex objects. The other option is we pull that behavior out, but then sort of, and this is sort of a cohesion thing, is like, who's responsible for knowing what the required columns are? One could say that column mapper knows too much.
Like it should just map blindly and not be responsible for checking them.
Right.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So basically, like, hey, just map stuff, and then somebody else checks to see if they're required or not. However, I think this currently feels like it makes more sense, because the extract column, we want different validation errors depending on whether it's optional or not.
True.
So we've sort of given it enough smarts to say these are the required columns, so that way it knows whether you've asked for something or not. So I think it's fine the way it is. So why don't we write a failing test, and then we'll call it a day.
Sounds good. And we'll do it at the song importer test level.
Yep.
And we're going to do 1A, right?
I think we're going to do 1A, yeah.
Okay. Song import fails. No. Well, I'll just write this first, and we'll wordsmith it. Fails when with missing header row. But we want to mention that it's one failure message.
Yeah, so my tendency these days for naming tests is, what's the expectation first? So single failure message when missing header row.
And so you're saying you do expectation test naming format expectation,
and then and then context. Yeah, I guess it's context. And there's no action here, right? Because what's the action is we're doing song import, except that's the name of the test class.
Right.
So we don't need that. Yeah.
Right.
And the reason why is I've been starting to shift towards this is when we were looking for, hey, did we already have a test for this? We were looking for our the result. We were looking for a result. We were looking for, hey, when do we get failure messages? And if we look at the test names right now that we have, if we bring up the test method names, we see that like for the last 4, the first 2 words are irrelevant. It's always going to be song import. And so it makes it much harder to find. We ended up having to search through the ends of the test names instead of the beginnings.
Right.
And so this is, Benny asks, you don't like given when then, and it's for exactly this reason. Given when then is a great way to think about the test, but it's a terrible test name because when I've been really trying to be aware of what happens when I'm looking for tests, I'm almost always looking for the then part. And if the then's at the end, it's really hard to find.
Yeah. So you're channeling the book club basically, where we're about how cognition works, and you're optimizing for that.
Yeah.
In this scenario. Right.
Because then it's like, hey, why aren't we getting a single failure message? Oh, look, there's a test single failure message when. Well, when that? Oh, well, that doesn't cover the situation that I care about, so that we're missing a test.
Right.
This doesn't always apply, but it's been working for me so far when over the past month or so that I've been thinking about it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
So let's write it and then.
Yeah. So how are we doing this one?
Thanks,
Song
Astrid.
importer.
Yeah.
Actually, I can steal this.
Yeah. I think we could just call it missing header row, and I don't even think we need the TSV.
Yeah, and I was wondering about the missing header row. Should have done F6 on that one, or Shift F6. So when we blow this away.
And I've been tending to put the opening triple quotes on the same line as the assignment. Yeah. Control Shift J would have been your friend there.
Yeah, I know. That one was not on my radar. Let me go back to it. Control Shift J.
There we go.
Which I want to go to this one because that's part of the noise of this in hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
So back here. So what are we doing for search? We're checking whether it's redirect.
Yeah, so we don't care about the redirect in this test.
No, we just care about the.
We just care about the failure messages.
Failure message, yeah.
So you can copy 65, yeah. And you can get rid of now the variable assignment on 89 because we don't need it.
Contains exactly.
Yeah, we want contains exactly. We can start out with a lightweight, which has size of 1. I meant as the actual assertion.
Oh. I thought you meant a characterization type test. Right. Now this should fail.
This will fail. Let's predict how it will fail.
It'll.
So I have a number in mind.
Yeah, it's a big number, right? It's like is it 9? There's 3 required.
No, so it's 6, right? Because there are 2 rows, and each one of them causes 3 failures.
Right. So 3 times 2 is 6.
Yeah. So let's see.
Okay, let's run it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, well, it's missing the header.
Oh, I know why. Because it treats the first row as the header.
Where's the test? Here it is.
So because it treats the first row as the header, there's only really one song that it thinks isn't being imported. But okay, that makes sense. That could cause some really weird error messages if you happen to have an artist called artist or a song title called song title.
Yep.
That seems unlikely enough that I'm not going to worry about that. And once we fix this problem, then that will go away as well. So, all right.
Should it make this our breadcrumb? Or did you want to?
I was going to say, I think we're
make it pass.
No, I think we're good. We can
We're
stop here. Yeah. Leave with the failing test.
Sounds good. Created failing test.
Yeah, trademarks are expensive. I'm not going to trademark predictive test-driven development. I didn't invent it. I mean, I think I came up with it independently, but I know other people. Like I know James Shore talks about it.
Commit and push.
Yep.
And then we get to say push anyway.
Right. Self-certification. Yeah, no. That's a whole different kind of business.
Oh my God. Don't get me started, Astrid.
Yep. All right.
Cool. Guess we should
clean up Jira a bit. Yeah, leave us. Yep.
I guess we should re-indent these, or
no,
I think okay to have top level.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all for today, folks. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for all the good chats. Nice to see all of you. So we'll figure out our upcoming streaming schedule over the weekend. So as always, the Discord is where you want to be. If you're not already a member of the Discord, join the Discord. And then if you're new to the Discord, make sure you go to the roles channel so you can click on the little alert button that will notify you when I do announcements about streaming, scheduling, and things like that. And there's dedicated channels to discussing what we do on the stream. So feel free to ask questions or make comments there. Any final thoughts, Mike?
No. Good weekend, everyone.
Yeah. So have a good weekend, and we'll see you next time. Oh, Astrid mentioned starting a new book soon. We are getting, we have a few chapters left in our current book, so we are going to start in the next couple of weeks, we are going to start thinking about what next book to choose. I have some thoughts on that, but let us know your thoughts in the book club channel. And once we start going through that process, I'll definitely announce that. So, all right, thanks, folks. See you next time.
Ciao.